Hey guys, it's Aman
And Christina
from Our Rich Journey. We have to talk about why expats are paying more for real estate when they move abroad as compared to the residents of that country. It has become a huge issue for anyone moving abroad, especially moving to Portugal. If you are coming here as an expat, on average, studies have found that you will pay at least 50% more for real estate than your Portuguese counterparts. And this is a terrible thing. And it's not just bad for the expats buying the homes, but it is really bad for the citizens of that country. And so on today's video, what we want to talk about are some of the reasons why expats that move abroad are paying more for real estate than the citizens of that country.
So if you guys know our story, we reached financial independence and we retired before the age of 40 and we moved here to Portugal. And we have been living here in Portugal for the last 3 years. And we love Portugal so much. We've also seen so many incredible expats that are coming and moving to Portugal and more that are interested in moving to Portugal. And so we wanted to make this video as a cautionary tale. We don't want people flooding Portugal, paying so much for housing and raising the cost of housing so that locals can no longer afford to live in their own country.
Now we want to give you guys some context for our own housing situation. You see, when Christina and I first moved to Portugal, we rented for 1 year in Lisbon before finally picking a home here on the Silver Coast of Portugal. And what we paid for the home was €190,000. We did a whole video on all the details of our home. We give a complete tour, but we paid €190,000 for a 4-bedroom home on over an acre of land. Now, our Portuguese friends have come to our house and they have told us, you guys have gotten an amazing deal. You certainly did not overpay for your home. Now, see, that is not the case with a lot of expats that we have been meeting recently. You see, Christina and I have the benefit of meeting so many people that are moving to Portugal and that are also looking for real estate. And they tell us about their real estate stories and what they are paying for homes, and it is completely out of control. We have talked to people that we know are buying the equivalent home that we have right now and that are paying 2 and sometimes 3 times for what we paid for our home 2 years ago.
That's right. So we bought our house 2 years ago, and now we are seeing expats paying for homes at 2 or 3 times the amount that we paid for. But just to give you some context, more context about this house that we live in right here, we are located on almost an acre of land. We have a huge garden in the backyard with mature fruit trees throughout the yard. We call it our orchard, and we're also about 15 minutes from the beach. So we have an incredible area that we live in. We have incredible neighbors, and we just really love the community that we live in.
So we have an amazing situation here in Portugal, and it is thanks to the home that we bought here in Portugal. Now, we did some things to ensure that we bought the right home at the right price and that we did not overpay like so many expats do. And so that's what we want to talk about next. We want to talk about 5 reasons why expats overpay for homes in Portugal, but not just in Portugal, because you can use these reasons for any country that most expats move to.
So the first reason is that most expats, when they move to Portugal, they don't understand the housing prices in Portugal. A lot of times they get caught up in looking at the prices in Portugal and comparing that to their home state or their home country. And when they live in a country or a state that has elevated prices for housing, they look at a lot of houses in Portugal and think that they are incredibly affordable and reasonable.
Now, see, the problem with this is they're not able to establish what is a fair and reasonable price, and they are willing to pay more for real estate, which in turn pushes up the price of real estate for everyone. Now, one of the ways that we learned more about prices in Portugal and the real estate market overall is that we rented before we purchased our home. So many expats, before they even move here, are buying homes with absolutely no knowledge of the real estate market.
And I think that is such a good takeaway. If you are thinking about moving here, think about renting first. We actually have a video on this channel where we show the place that we rented for a whole year before we bought this house. And when we posted that video, a lot of people were saying, I thought you guys were millionaires. Why on earth would you rent? Why aren't you buying? And so we explained to people the purpose of renting first. We really wanted to have a good gauge and understanding of housing prices in Portugal, and we wanted to be able to make a good decision when we decided to buy our ultimate house that we bought here.
The next reason why foreigners or expats are overpaying for real estate is because of the Golden Visa program here in Portugal. Now, many countries throughout the world have Golden Visa programs, and a part of many programs, just like here in Portugal, is that if you purchase a property of a certain price, a minimum price, then you can get residence to that country. Well, here in Portugal, the minimum price for many years was 500,000 euro for your residential home. Now, that price could go down depending on the property, but in the most popular areas, that price was 500,000 euro. Now, from our perspective and from the perspective of many people in Portugal, 500,000 is a lot of money for a home. And so if that is the minimum price that people are paying for a home in order to get residency, you see how the prices can go up from there.
And in fact, I think the government actually took note of this because recently the Golden Visa has been changed where you can no longer qualify for residency based off of purchasing a home under the Golden Visa program in certain areas in the Algarve, in certain areas along the coast, in Porto, and in Lisbon.
But there's one thing to note. The Golden Visa program is not the only way to obtain residency in Portugal. There are a number of ways to obtain residency. Christina and I qualified under a completely different program. And so if you are thinking about moving to Portugal and you are interested in obtaining residency, explore other options. In fact, Christina and I have a course all about moving to Portugal, and we talk about the various ways you can obtain residency in Portugal. If you guys are interested in that class, we will leave a link in the description below, or you can go to ourrichjourney.com. Now, this brings us to our third reason why foreigners overpay for real estate here in Portugal, and it is because of real estate agents. Not just any real estate agents, I don't want to say all of them, but agents that cater specifically to foreigners or expats. You see, it is these types of agents that are able to sell real estate at a premium price. In fact, they are able to charge more because they make the process of buying real estate in Portugal seem that much more easier because they speak both Portuguese and English in most cases, and they are able to help you maneuver through the system. Well, see, many of the listings that they are bringing to their foreign buyers are marked up significantly because they know foreign buyers will pay more.
And the reason why we know this is because we've actually been contacted by a lot of different agents here in Portugal asking us to connect them with our audience. And the reason why they want to do this is because they understand that our audience is a very large percentage of expats and foreigners that are interested in coming here to Portugal. With that in mind, they also think that these expats and these foreigners are willing to pay more for property. So they want to tap into that market. Now, I will say we have never ever given out recommendations for agents, especially those types of agents that are looking to strictly corner the market on foreigners or expats looking to invest in Portugal. But that's something to keep in mind when you are working with an agent that is strictly really focused on working with expats and foreigners. You have to keep in mind that those prices that they show you with homes are likely very elevated.
And if you don't believe us, look at the real estate agencies in the Algarve. You will notice that there is a theme with most of those agencies. They all speak English. They all cater to foreigners from around the world. They know that they can make a significant amount of money if they cater to that audience and feed them certain listings.
And the fourth reason, and we've sort of alluded to this already, but a lot of times when foreigners are applying to get a visa, they're really in a rush to find housing. And they don't necessarily want to rent first, they want to find their forever home. And so they are rushed to find that forever home. And in that rush, they tend to overpay for their property.
Now, we saw this as a really big problem when the Golden Visa program was being modified here in Portugal. We saw so many people rushing to buy homes so they could qualify for the Golden Visa before it was modified. You see, this rush to buy a home as a part of your visa application, you are going to overpay for a property. And this is a major reason why expats are overpaying and pushing up prices here in Portugal. And now this brings us to our final reason why expats are overpaying for homes. And it is a scarcity mentality. I also think it's kind of a competition thing too, but we will label it as a scarcity mentality. And what we mean by this is that when an expat or a foreigner is looking for a home in Portugal, they find one, they feel like there are no other homes on the market and they must get that home before it is gone. And this type of frenzy or scarcity mentality causes people to make hasty decisions about prices. They tend to overpay for a property. They don't negotiate to bring the price down. And in some cases, they may even offer more for the home so that they are beating everyone else. This is why I talked about competition.
So if you are from the States specifically, in the last couple of years in the States, you've looked for real estate, I think you'd probably be familiar with this type of frenzy that we're talking about. But when you go from the States to somewhere like Portugal or other places throughout the world, you can't bring that same frenzy mentality over here. It is very, very different. Homes are not flying off the shelf here. People are not overbidding for properties here. It's very different. So you have to detach that mentality of what it's like to buy a home in your home state or your home country and what it's like to buy a home here in Portugal. So those are the top 5 reasons why expats are paying more for properties here in Portugal. And we made this video, like we said, as a cautionary tale. We do not want you paying more for property. This isn't good for your bottom line, but it's also not good for the locals here in Portugal. So when you're thinking about potentially buying property here in Portugal, think about these 5 things that we talked about and really understand whether or not the price that you're offering for the home is reasonable for a house here in Portugal. So if you like this video and you want to see more videos about our life here in Portugal or Portugal in general, and also about financial independence and saving and making and investing money, make sure that you follow us on Instagram and that you also subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, and join the journey.